Hi everybody, Lee Woodward here, and responding to the post that I did on both LinkedIn and Facebook regarding this conversation of the industry about off-market. And you can tell by the segment or my tone of voice, I am very concerned about our industry and what signals we're projecting into the marketplace. And the signals we're projecting are actually not true. And what I'm getting at is it's not easy to just sell a house. And we're saying it only takes a couple of days, and we did it on social, and just even the word off-market concerns me most, and especially for my younger agents or newer agents coming in, because we've got people starting their real estate career at 50, and all this jargon needs to be sorted out. So I'm responding today in this video webinar because I want to sort this out as an industry, and I'm going to start straight up with the legal side of it. And joining me first is Kristen Porter from Oh No Legal. Kristen, welcome aboard.
Hi Lee, great to be here with you today. I think this topic is really important that we get right.
Couldn't agree more. And I want to start with the term off-market. Don't care about the marketing world and the real estate view. I want to know the legal view of, and you are a real estate specialist lawyer. You do all types of real estate specialty law for big companies, little companies, individual agents. You do business startup packs. You are an authority in this area. If someone was in trouble, that someone, I didn't know I had to pay commission, I thought we were off the market, or any of these terms, let's start with the term off-market.
And I think off-market is a really loaded term. I think it has a lot of connotations and maybe doesn't mean what people think it means. And so really want to make sure agents out there, especially younger agents, maybe less savvy agents, making sure they understand that off-market doesn't mean that you don't still need all your legal requirements. So you still need your listing agreement. You still need your marketing contract. I mean, you know, if you've got a listing agreement, aren't we on the market anyway? We want to protect our commission. So definitely need our listing agreements, but make sure you've still got the marketing contract, because if you're calling buyers because you've got this amazing list that you can sell from off market, making sure you've still got that marketing contract because you are still taking that property to market.
So when we even use this term off market, that's what sounds dodgy. Like it's an underground game or something. And we've seen some of these TV show ads now trying to educate the consumer into make sure you know what you're doing. And later on today, Kristen, I've reached out, realestate.com have responded. The post that I saw yesterday was from Domain, and Domain were using the term, have a look at our off-market properties. And I haven't gone through that process, but if you register as a consumer, you get to see properties that are actually with an agent, would have signed an agent's agreement. So it just doesn't make sense as an industry we would bend the terminology off market.
And I think the terminology is also devaluing the industry. It's devaluing the value add that agents actually make. I have seen a lot of agents out there saying, oh, I sold this off market, it only took 3 days, and that's great. But then as a consumer, you're then thinking, okay, well, it only took you 3 days. You didn't have to do a marketing campaign. You didn't do all these things. So what is that really worth? I think that's a big question too. Obviously not a legal one, but we do want to still protect the industry. And I'm all for competition in the industry and having other products available. But I do think the fact that agents have been out there saying we can do all this stuff off market, that has created the demand for this off-market product to go out there to consumers. So I think we might have actually created this situation ourselves.
And let's look at the job of an agent. And the job of an agent, and I repeatedly say this because it's so important, is to protect the asset. And we've had consumer kickback now where consumers have sold off market. They feel they've undersold the property. They've gone to take legal action as they feel they weren't directed properly. The agent didn't give them every chance within the marketplace. Kristen, not that this is a case study of your own, but if someone came to you saying someone's taking action against me that I didn't do all in my power to get the greatest result, and at minimum they want the commission paid back, would the consumer have any leg to stand on there?
And this is actually becoming more frequent in just usual transactions. Consumers are, know their rights more than they used to. There's been a lot in the misleading and deceptive conduct land, and there are a lot more claims coming against agents for negligence, where they now have to call on their insurance, which puts your premiums up for next year. So I think if we're not acting in the best interest of our client, and whatever that looks like, and sometimes the best interest might be to do an off-market sale because it might be a divorce or it's a domestic violence situation, we need the money quickly or whatever. But if we're not acting in the best interest of our clients, what point does that become negligence, which someone can then claim against you?
Well, what an interesting point in itself. If there's ever a dispute between family members, or, where there's a will, there's a relative on a property that's to be sold, quite often the court instructions are it is to be sold by public auction, which means it goes through a public campaign with funding so that everyone had the right to bid and buy the property, versus something being done underhand. And I remember when I first came into real estate, I couldn't believe all the cases that were going on where agents were having relatives buy properties and reselling the properties. That went on for so long, and it got agents such a bad name. This is not far from that now.
No, and yeah, you do have to be careful, and you have to be careful with who you're taking your instructions from. Are there two owners of the property and one's really quickly trying to sell? Does someone else have power of attorney? Do you know really who your client is? These are getting a little bit more removed from this off-market situation, but adding the off-market sale on top of these things, I think could tip it the wrong way.
Couldn't agree more. Do you think there'll come a time, if an agent is choosing to do a off-portal sale, that they'll have to get something signed from the owner saying you're acknowledging that we're not going for the full marketing campaign and full reach, we are deciding to go undercover, silent, whatever people want to call it, to protect themselves?
Yeah, I think you would absolutely want that probably in your listing agreement as well. So if you are using off-market sales, I would have an extra section in there to say that you've spoken about it, you know what the risks are, and some clients do want a really fast sale, and it will work for them. But just make sure you disclose everything, that whilst I've got a great database and I've got buyers ready, that it may still not be the best price.
Kristen, brilliant information. And just for our people that haven't met you yet, you're our new modern lawyer who's hit the scene doing so many wonderful things. I reached out to you some months ago. We were inundated by people wanting a business startup checklist. And I thought we had one of those, but not on a legal level. And even being agents that are running effective business units within companies, there's a lot of stuff involved. You've done that webinar for us, and that's coming available in the next 2 weeks. But you've actually launched something else this week. What have you launched?
I'm launching my Skyrocket framework. So Skyrocket helps agency principals to build profitable strategic partnerships so they can smash through their revenue ceiling and increase the value of their agency. And so unlike other lawyers who get stuck in risk management, I help you harness the opportunity that is out there to create the agency everyone wished they owned.
How do they find out about that? What do they do?
Contact me. You can give me a call, 0433 022 960. Otherwise, my email is letschat@onolegal.com.au. Have just put it out through socials. So Ono Legal on Facebook. It's out through there, and I think I've given Lee some details as well, if it's easier to reach out to Lee. But yeah, about to launch that. Very excited. Already got a heap of sign-ups for our free webinar for next week, where you can learn all about it.
Kristen Porter, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing the information on this very hot topic right now.
Thanks for having me, Lee.
Well, let's cross to realestate.com.au. They've agreed to give their time up today and answer some questions for us. And joining us is Owen and Melina. Owen and Melina, welcome to the webinar.
Thanks, Lee.
Firstly, Owen, question for you. We've seen this huge impact of people talking about the off-market sale. It's what I've been speaking about in the webinar today, and the professionalism of even understanding this concept. But as the CEO of realestate.com.au, what's your response and view to this?
Look, we're not a supporter of this whole off-market process because fundamentally it results in what we believe a suboptimal outcome for consumers. If you're trying to get the best outcome and realise the best price for your property, you want every single interested buyer knowing that property is on the market, and trying to sell a property in secret on the kind of off-market proposal just can't do that. Our research indicates that so many vendors who sell off-market then sit back and second guess and have regrets as to whether they actually achieved the best result through that process. And anything that has a consumer thinking they haven't got the best outcome does not reflect well on the industry.
I had to do an interview today of a very good professional real estate agent who's selling her mum's place. And her mum is an older lady, obviously, and the property's going on the market. And I said, what are you doing? She goes, I've got styling, I've got my Premier All, I've got this, I've got that. We've got the drones coming in. I said, you seem excited. She goes, oh, well, this is her last chance to cash in on an asset that's tax-free. And it was just a beautiful moment of there is no shortcuts to a great price. And if anyone watching this right now was selling their own mum's home, what would you do? Would you do nothing and just say, oh, let's just risk it, take a shortcut? Or would you do whatever you could to get as many people as you can in all levels of the marketplace to understand what's going on? Melina, question for you. There is an enormous amount of research consistently going on with the consumer. And we've got the marketing companies, we've got the agents, but then we've got the consumer. And if a consumer's trying to find a home, they go to a place where you could find a home. They can't get to 1 million people separately. They want to go to one centre where they can find it. What's been the feedback from the consumer?
Yeah, I mean, from the consumer, there are people that have actually decided to sell off market for whatever reasons. And as Owen said before, there has been an enormous sense of regret because they've had, a sense that they never really knew if they got the right price. And there is a misconception, and this comes through our research, that they're saving money by selling off portal. So saving on agent commission fees and saving on advertising fees, when actually a property that's marketed correctly can add thousands of dollars onto, the final result. So we're watching that very closely, and that's why we've put this campaign out at the moment to educate consumers.
Interesting idea, that one. Selling off-market by stealth. No photos, no listings.
No buyers. The other agents all said the more buyers you reach, the more competition, the better the result.
Why would you want to advertise?
So we don't spend the rest of our lives wondering if we left, say, a few $100,000 on the table.
Realestate.com.au has millions more buyers than anywhere else. If you're selling, advertise on the number one.
Yeah, and the consumer doesn't know what they don't know. And even a classic simple example that, quite often, I know when I was selling real estate, they'd say, oh, Lee, we're in no rush. So unless we get our price, we're not going to move on. And you'd have to say to the consumer, I need to share something with you. What is that? Well, the longer it's on the market, the less we're going to get. Because people think nobody else has bought it. What am I going to get it for? And they feel in a position of power. We've got to compress this time and get to as many people as we can within a 4 to 6 week period to find out the purchaser engagement level so you can feel at peace to release it. But if the consumer doesn't know that and they're going into a danger zone, how would they ever know that? They're not the professional. Like, they're the boss, but we're the expert. Seen the release of the domain site today about consumers can find properties off market. I still haven't physically worked this out in my head because I even had to ring lawyers today to say, what does that mean? Well, the off market means you don't have an agency agreement and it's not on the market. So I don't quite get it myself. Owen, what's your view on consumers registering to find out about properties that are perceived to be off market?
Look, I think that proposition just demonstrates how different our philosophies are on this topic. Our view is, if you want to sell your property, there is a kind of ideal period to sell it in, as you said. I think, this claim that you can sell off market in days, how can you possibly give the potential buyers the opportunity to find the property in a couple of days? You need to have that on the market for a certain period of time. And this whole off market concept where In secret, you are going to get the best buyer for your property that is going to give you the maximum price. I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. We have 12 million people visit our site every month. And to say that one agent just happens to know for that property every single buyer that's going to be interested in it, unfortunately, I just don't buy that. And I just don't think it's going to deliver the right outcomes for the vendor. And that's what we're all about.
Melina, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I'm with Owen. I think if you're advertising to the widest possible audience, the widest pool of buyers, and there's 12 million of them on realestate.com.au, you're giving the vendor the very best chance to get a good result. And right now, when people do have to actually sell quickly for whatever reasons, wouldn't you want to give a vendor the very best chance they can get?
And so many of our customers tell us this. Look, a lot of customers just don't. Agents don't like off-market. They think it does devalue the industry and the value that agents bring to the process. And we agree with them. We think agents play a pivotal role in maximising the value for a vendor. And trying to do that in secret is just not smart in my view.
Selling is a transference of feelings. And if the agents are selling the fact that this is a way of perceivably saving money, but not taking responsibility for the profit you may not get from the purchaser you never meet, that's a very confusing and conflicting thing. And I can see a consumer come back saying, you didn't give me the right advice. My neighbour just sold for way more than I did. That's a record price, I'm not. I didn't get the full market, but I engaged you for the full market and you kept me out of it. That would be a debatable moment there of, did you do all you could? And I was sharing a story with you earlier today that a vendor would say to me, Lee, in 4 weeks' time, when you come to me with an offer, will I be able to look you in the eye and say you've done absolutely everything you can in order to get me a great result for me to accept this price and not feel like I've undersold? And I would say, no, I can't. You're stopping me from doing my job. I want to do this. You don't want to do it. I want to use that. You don't want to do it. So I'm here to represent you, but I'm saying we need to use all channels of marketing we can. We need to stage the marketing. And I'll just put this to both of you because I want this to be an in-depth interview. But my view on the portal moment is that the price engagement level has been found. So I'm all good for, let's get some people through. What did they feel? What did they think? Good. Let's get another group of people through from our email marketing. What was the response? Okay, it's a little bit higher than what we thought. So the price levels here now hit the portal. But hitting the portal at the wrong price, 100K over, is not right either. Owen, your thoughts?
Look, and this is where the agents add their value, right? Look, we see our role as to connect the prospective buyers, people who are going to be interested in this property, with the property itself. And so, at what price you put it on the portal, the gold in what an agent does is create that price tension amongst more than one buyer. That's where they make their money. That's where they create the real value for the vendor. And so, the price that it ends up going on the portal at, I think we leave that to professionals, quite frankly. And it is a balancing act. You don't want to go too high. You don't want to attract the wrong type of buyer to the property. But that's where I think the professionals add the real.
What a valued point. Leave it to the professional who is investigating. And I've said this a lot lately, where agents say, but if we get it sold, we get it sold. I said, yeah, but what's our main job as an agent? And they go, what do you mean? Well, our main job is to protect the asset. And the first thing you want to make sure you've done as an agent is that you didn't undersell the property. That is your first thing to work out. So you do set the pricing a little bit higher than you'd expect the market to bear in your first week or two, because you're making sure you haven't undersold it. But make sure you get it right on portal. Don't go to the portal too early at the wrong price. Get a groove of the property. What are people saying? Are people saying it's worth more than you think and you're way out? And Melina, this is a great point for your research. If you think of every record sale ever achieved in Australian real estate, we were wrong as agents.
Agree with that. I don't want to agree with that one, Lee.
No, but we see both examples. Sorry to interrupt, Melina. We see both examples, Lee. I've seen examples where, by putting it on the portal and maybe at a price that ends up being too low, but the interest that's been attracted has driven the price up. And that's where auctions are, the ultimate in terms of what the market value is on a particular day. But then similarly, you've seen it put higher and been worked down due to where the market is moving. But again, this is where agents add their value. They take both of those circumstances and they can eke out the best outcome. And
I had another scenario today where a very good agent was investigating properties prior to market, but in one occasion there, 100,000 over was achieved from what we perceived was market value due to granny flat approval. So this lady's now getting granny flats checked out first before going to market. Anyone could miss that, it looks like a normal house on a good block. It's perfect for a granny flat. It's going to attract a different investor, but 100K over tax-free, that's serious money out there.
A lot of money, yeah.
You'd want someone checking that out.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, thank you so much. I caught you on no notice today and said, look, this is really important. So I want to thank you for taking the time, redoing your schedules. And it's great to know your view based on what we've seen in these last few announcements. The industry is going to come back in harmony. We're going to start speaking professionally and correctly because we're learning.
We'll put business shirts on too. We'll put business shirts on too, Lee.
Yeah, I don't know you're in lockdown, so we're all nearly out of it. But thank you for joining me. And the rest of the webinar will continue on, but thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Lee. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Well, we've reached the final part of our segment now, and we're going to be crossing to our live agents on the streets who've definitely been in the social media marketing space. Why? They're probably the country's best multimedia marketing agency as they work really hard every day in every channel to get as much interest around them as they can. Please welcome to our webinar, Mark and Lisa Novak. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks for having us.
Great to be with you.
Hey, Lee.
Mark, good to see you. Lisa, I'm going to start with you. We've had so much noise from our industry. You've been about 2 years in the selling arena, incredible results, and definitely attracted a lot of people to you in I want to sell real estate the way you seem to chat about it. But what's been your biggest learn so far?
Okay, so my biggest learn, hands down, has been the fact that initially when I started, Lee, doing this, selling property on social media or launching out to social media, I called it off market. That's rewinding 2 years ago. My biggest learning to date is that it is absolutely not off market. In fact, I stopped calling it off market about a year ago and started referring to it as pre-market. Now, the reason why is because the property was not off market, right? Off market means that there is no form of public advertising, i.e. social media, signboard, database, etc.
Because off market means we have no authority and you can't promote. When we can promote, and promotion can be, you can have a sandwich board out the front of the street, you could be on social, you can be on portal, but if we are promoting property, it's definitely on the market. Mark, question for you. You are a multimedia passionate person and assisting the entire team of getting out there. What's been your biggest learn from the video marketing and interactive marketing using social to get people knowing about your properties?
Look, it's often what I found is we started confusing life a little bit, and our whole process of marketing started to get a lot more elongated and maybe even a lot more wanky. And I found that people just wanted the information fast and they wanted the information conveniently. They weren't interested in the styling, or they weren't interested in the 4-week campaign to sit on their hands for 4 weeks and wait until they can make their best offer. They just wanted to get stuff done straight away. So the biggest learnings that I've learned through this social media marketing that we're doing is just giving it to people hard and fast. They do not mind it raw. It doesn't mean you don't do the styling. It doesn't mean you don't do the auction, but there's a place for that as well. Give it to people when you can, conveniently.
Lisa, question for you. Staged marketing is something we've had discussions about in-house at Novak with all agents. And I think the way you take stuff to the market is perfect in this pre-market. You're getting your followers to know about it straight away. That gives us a price indication So I noticed an incredible property you did at French's Forest there, full-blown campaign through to auction. But you would have learnt so much about accelerating the price range by taking it through your stage marketing. What is the stages you follow?
So really good question. So I now offer a plan A and a plan B. The plan A is my $0 marketing strategy where we go pre-market out to our social media channels where we get huge engagement, and also out to our database, of course. I also do some professional photography at that level, but the majority of it is actually raw video content, which is what Mark was talking about before. And the beauty there is the world gets to see it first and fast, pre-market. Okay, so it's a great opportunity for the buyers because they get the opportunity to buy and to see the property before it's even launched out to those real estate portals. And for the vendors, it allows them to just dip their toes in and test the market without any marketing spend. And often we'll get a knock your socks off offer at that level. Now, in the event that we haven't, then we will launch out to plan B, which is really the authentic style of marketing that the industry is used to seeing. And that's where we go out and we do all the professional photography, we do the beautiful videos, and we launch out to those real estate portals like realestate.com and Domain. And you're quite right, Lee, I just did a sale in Forestville. We launched out pre-market. We had a great offer come in very quickly. And at that stage, I said to my vendors, I believe there's more money out there in the market. We need to get this one onto the portals. We've had a significant amount of interest, so much so that we ended up launching it out to auction and ended up achieving a great price. That is not always the case, however, but I will always suggest to my vendors that we do go out to plan B if I feel there's more money out there in the market.
Yeah, Lisa, a lot of people ask me about yourself. And Mark, and obviously, you know, I've been an advisor to Novak when required over the years to say, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And you guys do some amazing work in there. Like, I follow your work because I love how it's different in the marketplace. But I think others have looked from the outside in and said, oh, but look, they're doing all that on social. You don't need all this stuff. And it's like, well, hang on, you've all got access to social. The entire Novak team work really hard every day on social. Like, what I've been at your place in the last few months, and I must have been on 9 videos, and it's not 9:30 yet. I've had 15 coffees. The salami and cheese are out, but it's like a nuclear reactor in there for multimedia, and I love it. But I think people don't give credit to how much effort you guys put into shooting, doing, being in the vans, walking around, talking around, and let's Mark, the scene with you on the office chair the other day going through the hub was brilliant because everyone's wanted to do that. And am I on camera? You know, it's quite a creative process, and you just happen to be channeling through social. Mark, your comment?
It's documenting what we do on a regular basis. Doesn't actually take that much work because the work was always being done, but actually documenting it and putting it out there for people. Like, I've always worked tremendously hard and long, but not many people have known that. And I feel like these days, you know, like my first 13 years of real estate, I worked 7 days a week, but nobody knew except for the customers that I was working for. Whereas documenting it now has been more successful for us.
But also in that prospecting mechanism, Mark, you know, I love it when you interview the old guy on the tailor shop, or you go into this is the best pizza shop and this is where the best burgers are. That community collaboration involvement is really that difference of ego or info. And I think the following of Novak is become very family-based and very community-based because you are showcasing everything around you. And then for yourself, Lisa, you know, people love the authenticity of this mum with 2 kids with heels, rocking down the footpath, walking away from Ringer Road to show how quiet the house is. Yeah. And I think a lot of women visualise themselves in real estate. I'd be that authentic as well.
Yeah. Well, we've never had really the opportunity to be able to do this before, but social media allows for that platform. And I've often asked myself, why are there not more agents doing this? You know, we do have this wonderful platform with millions and millions of eyeballs. you know, it's a great way to be able to showcase properties, our agency, you know, in real time, in real life. And you're quite right, that authenticity, I guess, is appealing to people, because real estate hasn't been done this way before, right?
Things we're noticing now, though, is the agents that haven't done the study, they haven't gone to the effort, learnt the camera work, learnt how to get up every day and do socials, not simple. It's no different to getting up every day and doing cold calling, or getting up every day and doing door knocking. You've found your groove, but just in wrapping up this webinar, which has been of great information for everyone who's appeared today, you are doing something really powerful that the whole industry should understand, and that's you're getting it out there before it's ready, which means you're not missing any of the marketplace. You've built up the followers. And even though someone sees it on social, Lisa, they may have been tracking you for 12 months. They may have come in off another property 12 months ago. It's very rare someone who comes in on the property, buys the property they call up about. They're quite often shifted onto another. And that's where I think social's been good. But I think a significant point I'd like to make here is stage marketing is about getting the price engagement right, so we don't hit the portal at the wrong price. 100%. Hitting the portal at the wrong price is lazy. It's not the portal's job to adjust price. If you've got an owner who's ecstatic with the result and they don't want to go any further, that's their choice. But I love what you did in Forestville of, no, I think there's more out there. We need to go the whole way. And I think that's the moment of a professional where the industry's choosing, do we push, do we pull? But it's not just simple as didn't do this, didn't do that. There's a lot more to it.
It's certainly not the easy way. In fact, I often find that, you know, when I've taken vendor paid advertising and I've put it onto the real estate portals, if that's where it needs to go to, there's almost a sigh of relief, because there is so much work involved. Wouldn't you agree, Mark, in getting these properties out? I mean, Mark knows firsthand, right? We're married. He sees how many hours I'm feeding into my social media. You know, it's 4 to 6 hours a day of getting these properties out and onto social media. But the benefit is it's instant. It's instant. So perfect is takes time. So by that, I mean getting photography done, getting virtual furniture in, getting styling done. What's that, sorry?
We love perfect.
Yeah. That's right. But, you know, this instant getting these properties out onto these social media channels instantly is extremely appealing to buyers. It's extremely appealing to vendors. And can I just add, Lee, something that has changed significantly over the last few months, certainly in my real estate world, is the cleanup that I'm doing often after agents that were not able to sell property out on the generic real estate portals. I'm doing lots of them at the moment. You know, properties that were potentially sitting out on those real estate portals for months, and they kind of hit a wall. And then the client came to me and said, can you do something with this? Can you put it out onto your social media?
And that's using all channels. Well, Novaks, I want to thank you for agreeing to appear on this webinar. I didn't give you hardly any notice, but you two are instantaneous. It's definitely your biggest strength in your multimedia world. But you're doing a great job, and if the world can learn from multimedia what you're doing in so many ways, it's great to have you with us. I want to thank you both for joining us on the program.
Can I add one more thing, Legend?
You can.
That I just feel passionate about. I think also that if people look at how Zoom has exploded within real estate and in the business community the last 6 months, that application has been around a very long time. Zoom's been around a very long time, and Zoom hasn't changed. It's doing the same thing that it's always done. There's not another button or 2 or 3, or its suite hasn't become better that everyone started using it. It was all about timing. And I believe that instant marketing that we're doing, that we're talking about today, which we may call social media, instant marketing, whatever you want to call it, I believe the timing's now ripe, and that's the change that everyone's witnessing and harnessing and understanding. And it's ripping like a fireball through our business, but it's not, again, social media has been there a long time. You know, it's been there 10 years, but it's the way the necessity for it being used has been like rapid fire, a bit like Zoom lately.
Without a doubt. We must listen to consumer demands, guys. We must. Yeah.
Novaks, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Lee.
Bye.
See you. You're a legend.